Right, so I just witnessed something out of Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Just before we convened to record. These children are here. It's Christmas Eve as we record this. We were talking about the plans for the day because I've been roped into playing Fortnite with the eldest. I lost track of time and was under the impression we were taking the week off anyway. But I rushed to get ready. Fee was telling me their plans because they were going to go to the shops and we thought the shops were going to close earlier than they will. So Fee said to me, I checked the times, the shops are going to shut around about 6, 7. And then both kids dropped to the floor and convulsed and started just repeating 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7. And they were convulsing and on the floor. Yeah. And it was like a Fox Die thing, like a Metal Gear Solid thing, where the word had been said and it activated the nanomachines.
You've activated the sleeper agents, yeah.
Yeah, like, I just watched 2 children become activated.
Oh, I've had phone calls with Fee's youngest where I'm aware that 6, 7 is a thing, and I've knowingly uttered the code word. The first response was a sort of widening of the eyes of, but you're a grown-up, you know of the ancient phrases. Yeah, it activates something in the nervous system.
It just gets them, yeah. Yesterday, I was, like I say, playing Fortnite with the eldest. We warmed up with a bit of one-on-one, and as soon as the score ticked over to 6, 7, they lost their shit again.
Yeah.
Like, I was made vaguely aware that 6, 7 was a meme a few weeks ago. Now I keep seeing it. God, I'm old.
I can try and get you the etymology of it, but it doesn't really help. There was a basketball player who was 6'7" tall, right. And then there was a song that mentioned that height of 6'7" or 6'7", and then it got divorced from the song context. Like, the song, the couple of seconds of the song that mentioned 6, 7 got clipped out, and then it just got devoid of all meaning. And now it's just a thing that's funny because the adults don't know what it means, and therefore it's funny.
Do you think this is how the Mark of the Beast was developed? It's just one of those things. It's like, we're gonna take these numbers here and we'll use this, and then it just wound up being seen by all of these people and the connections drawn, because that's what our brains do. Our brain do connections.
Honestly, I could believe that the entire book of Revelations was a meme. It's just a collection of biblical time memes, because when you look at it, it's like what is this lamb doing? What is this sheep up to? Like, I could imagine that coming from ye olde TikTok video of, like, a sheep falling over or something.
My favourite part of this is if you talk to, like, Fee's youngest age kids about why 6, 7 is funny, you can get them onto the conversation of other numbers that they think are funny. And 6, 7 is quite numerically close to 6, 9 or 69.
That's exactly Fee's first response
very
67 was...
Yeah. Very small children. They're like, 69 is funny because it's quite close to 6, 7. It's 6, 9. They're quite physically close numbers.
So that also is funny because 69 suggests 67. Good God.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fee's first response was like, they're close to the funny number, which I guess they think if we say 69, the kids are thinking, well, they're close to the funny number, but they've got it wrong again. The morons.
Genuinely, I have had this conversation with very small children. If they hear 69 come up, they think it's funny because it's 6, 7.
This is going to change everything. They think that 6, 7
inspired 69.
This is going to literally change. There are going to be kids who are just not going to know how to do it. They're going to be like, 6, 7? And what's the pose? What's the position? You got 6, and then what? You're just poking them in the forehead?
Oh, yeah, they're going to try and 69 like it's 67.
Yeah.
That is going to lead to injury. I think there needs to be a PSA put out, like, to our future procreators. Don't 69 like it's 67. We get, like, maybe Obama on board for that. I'm sure,
yeah.
Barack Obama could be out there and be like, don't 67 like it's 60. This is my
It's
great...
Hillary Clinton you would get to do it, because she did the whole Pokemon go to the
There
polls,
we are.
right?
Then she could come out and be, don't 69... All my politician voices are the same. Don't 69 like it's 67, please. You can't do that.
That's a better Clinton than it is Barack Obama, I will say.
Oh no, that's my Bernie Sanders as well. Actually, my Bernie Sanders is, hey Tom, you're waking up my boy. Oh God, and lo, the 67th seal was broken. I love the idea of the Book of Revelations as a meme. Oh, Merry Christmas.
Yes.
One and all.
Merry Christmas.
It is. I am not prepared for it. I think partly because I took a lot of time off from doing Jimquisitions, and I've said before about how my week would often hinge on that, because being self-employed and I do a lot of work that is freeform.
Right.
So Wednesday, Podquisition, Monday, Jimquisition, they were my anchors for the week. And since I took a break and am now sort of going to more irregular videos, time creeps up on me like you wouldn't believe now. Like, as far as I'm concerned, yesterday was December 1st. I have blinked and it is Christmas Eve now. It's making book deadlines hard, especially because I've really got to keep an eye on that. I told Conrad this the other day. The main bookwork that I've been doing this year, I am now 10,000 words over the word limit. The word count of the entire book that is being co-written, by the way. And I do believe the entire 10,000 is me. I believe Paul did everything he had to do well within spec. And then I have just spunked up chapters and chapters.
That's not your problem. That's a development editor's problem to deal with. Your job is to write words, and then someone else has to come in and wrangle them. That's the writer's way.
I'm going to make sure it's my problem, because I am an absolute, like, precious little eggshell princess about my work.
You'd rather it was you butchering your work than a stranger.
Yeah, if my baby's being strangled, I want it to be by my hand. My hope is there's a couple of chapters of the book that I am absolutely married to and want to preserve. So my hope is I can rob from one chapter to pay for another. I already had a brilliant chapter that starts with a joke and then was going to transition into a long story that would make the joke really poignant and sad. And I've reached the point of just, fuck it, just do the joke. Do the joke. Let's not get clever with this. But, you know, being as it is, the nature of the job and the sort of scope I've been given, at the very least, I feel like I don't ever have to bin anything. Which is, again, it's one of the benefits of working on like, alongside Ponkel, who have just given me such a long enough leash to hang myself with in this case. I can keep it, because there may be opportunities down the line to use it again. That's been my Christmas. Is taking a pair of shears to my work, which is going to be fun.
Mine so far has been replaying through Majora's Mask, which has been fun. I've been doing the... It's been about a decade since I've played through this game. Last time I played it through was... Jane was recovering from surgery, and I went and spent a week at hers looking after her, and we played through Majora's Mask together. We're doing the whole thing of going through trying to do all of that game's ridiculous number of side quests and get all the masks and then get the mask that trivializes the final boss fight.
Yeah.
Really enjoy replaying that game. That being said, the other thing I've been doing with my week is binging a really good new TV show called Pluribus.
Oh, I've heard about that.
Yeah, the whole world gets overrun with a hive mind except for 12 people. And objectively, the world is a better place post-hive mind, but our main character is a white woman who is very concerned about losing her individuality, which, you know, I think is a very compelling use case of a main character, but also is a lesbian who went through conversion therapy, so yeah, I can understand her being a little bit, I don't want to be forcibly changed into not being myself anymore. Even if I can look at the world and go, objectively, all war has ended and everyone is working communally towards good goals. You're not going to put a little smile on your face and tell me that, like, it's for my benefit that you're going to change my brain. Fuck you.
I've always liked that idea of, you have to be careful with it because you don't want to send, like, the wrong message with things. But I've always liked the sort of playing with that idea of the villain's victory actually making things better, and how you kind of balance the whole, well, they're doing this thing wrong, but the results are good, and it's like...
They have forcefully taken over the planet's population, killing a lot of people in the process to do it. The world is better? How do you have someone fight against that without them looking like an arsehole? And admittedly, main character at times does come off as an arsehole, but very interesting show. I'm one episode from finishing the first season, and that's been my good little festive binge that I've enjoyed this week.
Need to try and get my head. It takes so long these days, just where the ADHD ran rampant. I struggle to watch anything that isn't like disposable YouTube trash, like second screen garbage, as they're sort of calling it now, like second screen material. It's been a long time since I've sat down and watched a proper TV show.
I'm in the same boat. My wife, I can't convince her oftentimes to watch anything that is substantive beyond a single episode, which, you know, is fine because I love trash, but, you know, it means we watch game shows, and I love game shows, and it's great. But every once in a while, like, we haven't finished The Wire. We were watching The Wire, and we still have a season and a quarter of that to go, and I would love for her to see the end of that. You know,
if you want a good streaming service for, like, very good second screen game show content, Dropout.
Oh, yeah.
Can't recommend it highly enough. Very enjoyable improv game show content that, like, I've had a great time with this year.
I like Dropout stuff a lot. My wife's just not into it. Like, I think Game Changers is brilliant, and a friend of hers tried to get her to watch it, and she's like, I hate this. I was like, okay, well...
but yeah, it's weirdly, I don't generally, like, there's not a lot of stuff on the streaming services that's coming out that I rate particularly highly. Apple TV is the streaming service that's been putting out stuff that's felt like I'm very much to be doing something on a second screen while watching something kind of person.
Right.
Apple TV has been putting out the shows where I'm like, I gotta put the second device down and just watch this, and the ADHD will take a back seat for a minute for me to watch this. Both this and the first two seasons of Severance, fucking stellar. They've had some very good, light sci-fi, dramatic thriller TV that's been very good.
They are still seemingly in that phase where they're cool spending an outrageous amount of money for minimal return.
Jane was saying this yesterday. She was like, they're still in the actually investing good programming to get people to subscribe to their service phase, and not the, we've got enough subscribers that they'll forget to cancel their subscription. We don't really need to spend any money on them anymore.
I hate it. I hate not being able to focus on a thing. I want to watch that show. That sounds like my exact kind of thing. And I, especially as someone who, like, still writes long-form reviews and is doing book stuff and is very story-focused when it comes to the work I'm doing, very narrative-driven, in an industry, in a medium where a lot of people skip cutscenes, and writing written reviews in a sort of post-TLDR world. It feels almost hypocritical for me to sort of lament that and then suffer from the same thing. Like, I've started watching a lot of Big Joel, and I'm like, oh, I really like watching Big Joel break down movies. I want to watch the movies, and I'm sat here cursing myself for not watching them. But, you know, I'm glad that I have someone else's opinion of The Lion King too, you know? Oh,
this is why I've really appreciated my little cinema passes. If I go to the cinema and watch a film, I'm in a room where it is socially unacceptable for me to get my phone out. I guess I'm focusing on one thing for a couple of hours. I've trapped myself here.
Yeah.
I've got to pay attention.
It would be rude to pull out your phone.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, welcome. It's Podquisition. It's the end of the year. We're kicking one more of these out before we
One more.
bugger
One more.
off and not
Yeah.
do stuff for a bit.
Yeah, so we won't have one next week, a Podquisition. Then we'll be back, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe the week after we'll be back.
My Jimquisition, or I guess High Steph, I'm going to call them the Simply Sterlings.
Yeah.
The Simply Sterling Game of the Year Awards video came out. I just want to say, after someone gave me some shit, rather condescendingly, for mentioning Expedition 33 in my Game of the Year Awards as a sort of, because at the time things were very unclear whether or not they used generative AI anywhere in the process. And I was like, this feels complicated. I'm in a damned both ways scenario. I'm going to really hedge my bets. So I had that thing of like, I want to give it an award. This was my most acclaimed game of the year. But right now, I don't know. So basically, I left it as, if they didn't, there they are. Quids in, it's a winner. If not, I treat it like I treat, like I've treated microtransactions and loot boxes and all of that. Like, even if I love the game, I can't do that because I've got to have a zero tolerance. And someone was very annoyed at me saying, like, you shouldn't have included it. You shouldn't have included it. And I'm like, I didn't. It's very conditional. And in the light of what's going around right now as I talk, I absolutely don't regret hedging my bets. Because honestly, what they've said in the aftermath is fair. I don't begrudge dicking around with AI early. Like, basically, for those who don't know, there was a bit of a controversy with Expedition 33. Did it use generative AI anywhere in the process? An old interview was found where they mentioned it, sort of, they experimented early on. Then someone else later said no, but in that way executives say no. There's no final assets, which is, it's always a kind of villainous listen to the exact words thing. And now the boss of the studio's come out to say, in the very early days of AI, that had started when they were already developing, they played around with it for some placeholders, determined they didn't like it, and didn't use it, and have said going forward they won't. And I'm 100% fine with that. Back before, Gen AI became the monster it is, I, along with many people, experimented with some of those really early image generators to make nightmares, just horrible things.
Yeah, I think there is something to be said of, the difference between this and, Larian, who seem to be doubling down on, well, we're just using it for this and just using it for that. It's not, bad how we're using it. This does seem to be a situation where they've gone, yeah, in hindsight, we probably shouldn't have. I'll talk about this a little bit from my perspective, because, headline that's been doing the rounds, and I'm kind of tied into this, the Indie Game Awards retracted their Game of the Year win for that game, based on the fact that they have a strict no Gen AI policy, and specifically, they reached out to Expedition 33's developers and said, can you confirm that you have not used any Gen AI in your development before we formally announce you as a nominee for these categories? And they said, we have not used any generative AI at all. And then it came out after they'd given them the win that there had been some Gen AI stuff, even if they'd sort of walked it back, or it got into the final game, but we removed it when people pointed it out. It was in there. We have a zero tolerance stance. We're retracting the award. Now, I gave Expedition 33 a Game of the Year award last week before all this bubbled up, at least in part based on the fact that I was part of the Indie Game Awards nominees and judging discussion panel this year, and had explicitly been told about, we got an email from the Expedition 33 team, they have confirmed they used zero Gen AI. So I gave it an unconditional Game of the Year award because, as far as I was concerned, I'd heard confirmation that there was nothing Gen AI to do with that game, which is a tricky situation for me to end up in, because I'm like, fuck it, I couldn't have known. The official line I'd heard made me feel quite safe to give it an award.
Yeah. Overall, I'm happy with the resolution. I am sad that I couldn't have given it the full-throated backing that I wanted, because that was the first thing on my list.
Right.
I didn't even have to write that down. I'm like, right, I've got to work out which are my best games of the year. Clair Obscur right away. no question.
Clair Obscur is the one that I started my list. Like, I do very weird niche awards for things, and I was like, I'm not going to necessarily say if it was my favourite game of the year, but probably objectively it was the best video game I played in the year. Like, that was where I put it. I was like, on paper, I think I've got to say that's the best thing I played, right? It was the easy thing that, like, had to be on the list.
Yeah, and, like, you know, I have resolved the kind of argument, although that's putting it a bit harsh, the heated debate I had with someone about mentioning it. I couldn't not. Like, I spent several weeks worth of episodes of the Jimquisition discussing my changing, evolving relationship with that game. I think I only gave 2 10 out of 10s this year. Possibly one. I can't quite recall. But the least of any year, and one of them was Clair Obscur. If I hadn't have mentioned it, I'd have had so many people asking.
Is it possible that in their heart they wanted you to include it next week?
I have a feeling some people... Because I think there's been... I won't speak to that person.
Sure.
But I know that there were people that salivated when this came out. Because, you know, there was some backlash to it. Just people don't like seeing something critically acclaimed too much. Especially if there are other things they like. I know there was some esports guy or some streamer, someone was like telling people, vote for Arc Raiders over Expedition 33 because multiplayer gamers are the minority and we're not catered to enough. And I'm like, what the fuck, mate? First of all, terrible game to back. Plus, with that studio's full-throated love of AI, certainly anyone that was going to favour Arc Raiders over Expedition 33 can't use AI to go after Expedition 33. But yeah, you know, it's gotten that thing of it's a critical darling, therefore some people hate it. Plus, you know, the usual nerdses are going to hate it for any number of reasons. I'm sure there have been people salivating, and I was waiting, you know, like, I was like, if it turns out that they AI'd up a treat, then absolutely Expedition 33 would be in next week's video. I am delighted it won't be. I am perfectly okay with the reasoning the studio's given. It was new technology. We dicked around. We didn't like it. Back when AI seemed more like a toy, like I said, I dicked around with it. It's in a video where I said, like, look, I played with this image generator and made this. I tried to make a boggling Decepticon or a frog Decepticon or something.
Here's the thing I'll say as well. As someone that does a lot of mock review work and will frequently see games that are like a year or so out from development and have a lot of placeholder assets, it's not uncommon to see developers take the route of trying to, you know, be it text-to-speech voices or Gen AI or whatever, put realistic sounding placeholders into their game until they make replacement assets. It is weirdly more common than you think. I can't legally talk about which games I've seen that have done it. There is a surprising number of games that do it. But you know what a lot of games do instead, and I think is a way fucking smarter move, is deliberately have their placeholders be fucking ridiculous nonsense that no one would ever mistake for a real asset.
Yeah.
My favourite things I see, and again, I wish I could give concrete examples of this, is AAA games that you're playing through like a year ahead of release build, and an entire wall is just a fucking MS Paint scribble of what, like, roughly they're gonna put in there, in, like, bright primary colours, with... You used a mouse to write the text by hand, like, scribbles of what this needs to be. That shit is way better, because you're not gonna accidentally overlook that at the end and have a bit of AI art you forgot to replace. Put the MS Paint bullshit in. It's so much better.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I need to look it up, but recently a dev put out, like, a big 10,000 asset pack. It's free, and it's like, you need placeholders or you need assets to, like, you know, help build a game, because, you know, I've never had a problem with using assets despite coining asset flip. A lot of people misunderstand what an asset flip is. It's okay to use assets. It's not okay to just sell an asset pack as a game as if you worked on it at all. But yeah, these guys put out 10,000 free assets and were just like, look, there's no excuse now. You need placeholders, you need ideas, you need help. there it is.
Of course, now
support an
there's
actual
also
developer.
the issue of some of those people are using AI, and AI assets will sneak into some of these packs over time, which is going to be a challenge.
This one was very explicitly not that. I do want to point out, like, I'm sure over time, because that's one of the problems with this shit, and it's why we need to be so zero tolerance on AI. It's a poison, and it is looking for ways to wheedle in, or, not AI, it's got no consciousness, but the people that have no conscience are trying to wheedle it in. And again, this is why I hate Larian's whole, just a little AI for a treat. Absolutely fucking not, mate. Tech bros love creeping concessions. They want the concessions because they can creep. It's a little bit here, a little bit there, and then before you know it, it's everywhere. The tech industry, and all of industry really, is run by incredibly abuse-minded people, and they will use abusive tactics to railroad and strong-arm we're seeing it. They are forcing AI into everything. They are forcing people to engage with it because no one wants to consent to it. So tech bros are doing what tech bros do best and will absolutely violate consent and permission any which way they can. So no, there is no little AI for a treat. Experimenting back when it was new and ultimately deciding, no, this is not for us, that I'm fine with. I think we do need to be careful with how zealously we attack this, not just for that, but also the waters get muddied between, like, procedural generation, which is fine. That's different from what's being called generative AI. And the point's been made. I always forget the names, I'm sorry, but I've seen the point around that muddling, I've made the point as well before, muddling the terms only serves the people pushing generative AI, because they want the confusion. They want people going after the wrong thing. They want stuff like procedural generation or other things that are called AI, like upscaling and stuff, to be attacked because it provides them cover.
Yep.
I mean, I've had that conversation with you about one of your video scripts at some point this year.
Yeah, you really helped me.
Explaining to you how stuff like DLSS for upscaling works and the fact that it's largely based on the game itself having movement vectors, where it's like, oh, even if there's not another pixel here on the next frame, the game has told this model where that pixel, which direction that pixel's moving. That's the data it's using to generate more pixels and more frames. But it's easy to hear it's generating stuff that is not in the original frame. That sounds like it's generative and AI. That's the same thing.
Yeah, and the funny thing is like, I think some of that I knew and was just so knee-jerk gung-ho that I needed you to, like, recontextualize it for me. Because I can get so, like, hearing AI now, like, it's a raw fucking nerve
now.
The
terms are fucking poisoned.
Poisoned, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like, it's one of the reasons I'm so glad I have you doing the subs, because just to sort of part the thighs a little on this, you have pulled my feet out of the fire on more than one occasion where I've gotten something wrong or sort of went a bit gung-ho with something. And you're kind of this last minute moment of clarity.
I always feel bad if I do it, but I'm happy to be a second set of eyes on it.
And as I've always said, like, I only ever get annoyed at myself for that. But, you know, it's one of the benefits of not doing everything yourself, because I've got yourself and I've got Z-Manzilla, of course, and that really helps to ensure that by the time the video is out, more than just myself have seen it. And therefore, there's been some vetting, which I think is important. I think no matter how much you try to be a solo act, David Cage, it's good to have people that can tell you no.
So anyway, this week we kind of came in with a very loose idea of what we were going to talk about today, which I think the vague idea was stuff that maybe isn't going to be in big game of the year conversations, but like stuff that we played this year and are looking back at a list of stuff that released and going, oh yeah, that release this year was good. Maybe just give that a nudge again. Conrad, you've been looking back at this year. Do you have anything you want to start by going, yeah, that came out? Oh.
now you see, you set me up. You're like, oh, these aren't like Game of the Year contender things, and like,
well, I mean, maybe they are Game of the Year contender things. Yeah,
yeah. When Clair Obscur was removed as the Game of the Year from the the Indie Game.
Yeah, the Indie Game Awards. Yeah.
In its place was put Blueprints, and I probably would have like heard this had happened one way or another, but the way that I heard it happened is escapist of all publications.
Oh, this bullshit! Yes, fucking hell.
Published a piece in which the author claimed that Blueprints had used AI for textures.
And specifically was really fucking smarmy about it.
Incredibly.
They were like, oh, the Indie Game Awards are going to remove Expedition 33's Game of the Year for having a little bit of Gen AI at some point in development, and then they're going to hypocritically hand it to Blueprints, which is full to the brim of AI slop content from start to finish in the final game. Fucking idiots.
And then go on to, in like the final paragraph, like, do the thing that I fucking hate the most, is the conflation of all technical things we don't understand the operation of as AI, you know? And this is, you know, of course, it's been a problem going back forever. We've been misusing the term AI longer than I've been alive. But you know, we use it to describe enemy actions, but it, you know, and other things. And so this person said, oh, AI's been in games forever. And it's like, no, oh my God, I hate this piece. I hate this piece so much.
Yeah. This piece did have to retract very quickly. We're very sorry, there is literally zero evidence that there's anything AI in the game, and the developer has said there's nothing AI in the game. I don't know where we got that from.
There was no sourcing whatsoever. There was just this...
It was just vibes.
Yeah, just vibing. And oh God. But it reminded me that I had meant to pick up Blueprints and play that, because it was the game. You know how, like, every once in a while there will be a piece of media that everybody within a community that makes that kind of media that you respect, like, is talking about that one thing. And that was Blueprints this year. And it is fascinating and incredibly clever. It is a game I, under no circumstances, ever want to open a walkthrough for.
Yes. To the point that I never fully completed that game, because I'm going to keep dipping in and out of it, but I don't want to walk through
right.
it.
And its presentation, the density and complexity of its puzzles are such that little things will just come together and click for you. And that's the great joy, I think, of this game, is having a realization that two pieces fit together in some way that you hadn't considered before, or you get some new piece of information that completely changes how you might approach a future run. Fascinating game. So just to remind people, this is a game in which you have been bequeathed an estate by your great uncle, and they were a bit of a trickster who loved puzzles, and the house changes its floor plan every day. And so this is a roguelike game where you approach doors in the estate and are presented with options as to which room lies on the other side, and you have to select within the boundaries of this grid that the estate takes up is to place rooms to try and maximize your access to resources and gain access to later, more complicated rooms that introduce puzzle elements and connect back to earlier rooms to unlock further things, and on it goes. It's got great little logic puzzles. I'm always happy to go into the parlor and see what versions of the 2 verse 1 statement puzzle it
Yes,
presents me with.
How do I solve this 2 truths and a lie that's presented
Or 2
to
lies
me?
and a truth. And
Yes.
it has that little bit of extra flexibility there to have a huge variety of possible statements on boxes. Those are always really fun. The billiard room puzzle is like less fun, but I like doing basic arithmetic, so that's fine. I don't mind. Like, it's fun for me, but I could see why other people are like, oh, okay, I gotta do this again. The trick for me is always like remembering, okay, which one is pink and which one is blue.
Yes.
I love that the game has just been lying to me. And then tells me later, oh yeah, by the way, I've been lying to you. Oh, thanks. Okay. But here's how I've been lying to you. Well, okay, that's helpful at least. Like, here's where I've lied.
Yes, those first times that you realize, like, oh, the rules aren't what I thought they were, and you get to re-examine these same areas in different ways. Fascinating.
Yeah, so very clever, interesting game. The atmosphere's so good. The background audio all the time feels appropriate and evokes moods. Really, really love this game. I think people should check it out. If you've ever thought Myst was fun, this is so much more. But in that tone, in that vibe. And I think people would really, really like it if they missed it earlier in the year.
Yeah. What about you, Steph? You got any stuff from this year that maybe isn't in your top or bottom videos that are this week and next week, but you're still like, yeah, this was a game I was considering might have been worth talking about?
Yeah, there were ones that nearly made the cut. I got one I think you'll agree with me on. One that very nearly made the cut. Ghost of Yosai.
Yeah.
Oh god, and my review subtitle for that was Onryu Engine. I'm so clever. Let's just take a moment to appreciate how clever I am. Thank you very much. Bow for the audience. Bow. Ghost of Yosai, really fucking good game. Yeah. I think there was a bit of a controversy with that one with the developer. I believe they were one of the many companies to let someone go over expressing certain opinions.
Yeah, I think this was one of these. Someone said, hey, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world that a certain someone got shot and that person got fired, and that was a whole thing.
And like, yeah. I didn't know about that shit when I reviewed it, but it doesn't undo my opinion of the game, which is to say, it is one of the best games that came out that just sort of stopped just shy of me giving it an award.
It's one of those games where I'm like, I have very little to say about it, not because it wasn't fantastic, but because it's one of those rare games where it's like, that was just a very good experience start to finish. There were no real problems with it. It just was a very good game.
I think what really got to me was just how rich the combat was. There was just so much going on, where the first game felt kind of spammy almost. But here, like, every single trick you have up your sleeve has very definitive, clear use and will have an optimum use that will come up in a combat. So nailing the rhythmic parries, all of the different, like, tricks and very dishonorable things you can do. You know, something as simple as blowing smoke in someone's eyes. Like, you really do feel like you're scrabbling in a fight, just like a real opportunist. Which is great, and kind of did away with a really ham-fisted, sort of very 7th gen feeling attempt at morality in the first game, where it's like, oh, you snuck about like a smart person, you dishonorable twat. Which, back then, honor was not what, like, it's been romanticized as, let me just say. And I've never been fond of it. If you're in a fight, and it's a fight for your life, I don't begrudge someone throwing dust in someone's eyes. Yeah, it's just a really, like, just a sense of opportunistic combat. I think my only real regret with the combat was because each of the weapons were used in a rock, paper, scissors type of thing. So, like, if you've got your katana, that's for enemies with katanas. Your polearm, I think, is for guys with like dual weapons. And because they were so situational, I didn't feel like I could ever really get to grips with any single weapon, because every single weapon was fucking good. And it's that kind of balance of, how do we encourage people to use all of the weapons because they're good? Versus, if we do that too much, do we divorce players from building any sort of relationship with these weapons? Because, yeah, you want them to use them all, but if you make them so situational, you don't feel you get really intimate with them. It veers towards the railroading variety rather than letting you just stick to one, which I can sort of respect. I just think it's a bit of a shame that I couldn't have used, or it wasn't viable or sensible to use, like, the I can never say the word, the chain sickle, Kusarigama, I think you say, more than I did, because that was just so much better used against shields. Sometimes in a fight, I was, like, against, like, smaller enemies, I was like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to use my favourite one. But yeah, and on top of that, just the amount of really cool outfits you can get, because regardless what anyone says, to me, cosmetics are an important part of the game, and you can wear a kappa mask and a mushroom hat and all sorts of cool stuff. Although you can't wear some masks with some hats, even though enemies can, and I think that's bullshit. And yeah, just the way that, like, because of the passive gear you can equip, it can really change how... It can really... This is a build game, and you can have so many builds within a build. Like, if you want a ranged character, if you want to just specialize in arrows, there are so many different ways. It's like, well, do you want to mix that with fire, or do you just want straight headshot damage? Because we can give you a piece of gear that you can equip as a passive, and it will create pools of fire on the ground if you shoot the ground with fire arrows. And you can then equip a piece of gear that will make that better. Or you can do something completely different. And, like, every single piece of that, like, toy box of combat can be enhanced, and you can build a style around it. In most games, almost every game, I make a loadout, I stick with it. I'm a creature of habit. I used I think it's 5, I used all 5 loadout slots and flitted between them all with this one, which I think is a huge testament to it. Yeah, just so much flexibility with that game. Quite remarkable, I think.
Yeah. One that I want to talk about, and I don't want to say too much about it because it's a real short game, but it's one that I didn't really get into talking about on Podquisition this year, and I do think is really worth checking out as a piece of art, is a game called Despelote, which is a game that released this summer. It's maybe a couple of hours long, and it is set in 2001 Ecuador. It is a game about football, or soccer, I guess, specifically. In the year that, like, Ecuador as a country had just found out they were going to get to go to the 2002 FIFA World Cup. It is a football... Like, I'm not a person that cares about soccer as a sport, but it is a really interesting game about the cultural importance of that sport, and viewing that sport from a perspective that is less, I'm playing a high-tech simulation of, like, high-end football, and more about the cultural importance of that sport to, like, children in a small country from a very personal, lived perspective. It took a topic I don't give a shit about and made it very personally relatable in a way that was very interesting. Its art style is fascinating. It is all 2D paper cut-out people in a 3D dot matrix world that's very similar to something like Return of the Obra Dinn. I don't give a shit about football. I really cared about the small world that this game developed. As I say, it's called Despelote. I don't want to say too much more about it, other than I think it is one of the indie gems this year that flew under the radar that I think is worth more people checking out.
Nice.
Very good.
What about you, Conrad? What do you got?
I need to go back to Look Outside. That game was really, really good. Deeply unsettling. It is a game that makes you uncomfortable about every choice you're about to make and doubtful about every choice that you've made. This is a turn-based RPG style game that's set in an apartment building where while a phenomenon outside the window is doing horrible things to people. And I didn't get very far in it. But I adore it because it, as an RPG and a turn-based one at that, in a, sprite-based visual kind of mold, it gives you a freedom that you never see. Or you rarely see, I should say. In that its dialogue system is directly analogous to its combat system. And you can just go into combat with anybody that you want to. For no reason. And it will have an impact on what happens. Like, it does matter. Choices matter. They feel significant. Even if they aren't significant, they feel significant enough that you doubt them. It's just such a tension-filled, smart game with great writing and amazing visuals. Just a cool game.
Yeah, it is one of the ones that I do need to check out. It sounds so interesting, and I just did not make time for it this year.
I'm surprised you didn't.
No, it sounds so much my thing, and I think it just dropped at the wrong time for I had other stuff going on. But since you've been talking about it, I've opened it up in a tab to be like, yeah, fuck it, I'll probably play that during the break.
Yeah, it'd be a good break game.
Yeah. What about you, Steph?
Shinobi Art of Vengeance was very good. This was the side-scrolling Shinobi game. I growing up, Revenge of Shinobi was one of... I had a Mega Drive cartridge with 6 games on it. There was Streets of Rage, Sonic 2, I want to say, Golden Axe, and Revenge of Shinobi. And then ones that I can't remember what else might have been on it. So I've got some love for Shinobi as a series. I have played the others, but that was the one that I came up with. And so I was very interested in this. I was kind of looking forward to it. And it's really good. It is a super tight feeling game. Like, just one of those ones where you're like, this just feels good to control, to have this character fight with. So precise and responsive. Really nice, like, visual style. The art is fantastic. Dialogue doesn't come up often, but when it does, the character portraits have that kind of 80s anime box art kind of vibe. Yeah, quality. And just quickly, because it came out around about the same time, so they're both next to each other on the list, and I not got a massive deal to say about it. Metal Gear Solid Delta was also... Yes, it's just Metal Gear Solid 3 again, but in a new engine. I do believe that a reply to this review was like, see, this is why nobody on Reddit takes you seriously. Because they were furious that I judged Kirby and the Forgotten Land Nintendo Switch 2 edition for, being part of Nintendo's $80 grift. And someone was like, oh, you gave that, you criticised that game, but not this one. This is why no one on Reddit takes you seriously. Which is one of the best criticisms I've ever heard. Fuck it, though. It's Metal Gear Solid 3 in a new engine. That's all I want. And consequently, as I've said in this review and on previous Podquisitions, this game may have replaced Metal Gear Solid 3 in a way that the Silent Hill remake didn't, that the Resident Evil 4 remake didn't, that the Dead Space remake didn't. Where those games, yeah, they're remakes in a sort of rebooty way where they've changed things and it's a fundamentally different experience for some of them, like Silent Hill 2. I thought Silent Hill 2's remake was good. I do think it was good. If I want to play Silent Hill 2 again, I'd never play that one again. Because I don't want to deal with the mannequin shit, the spammer quins, and some of those elements. But I will, rewatch some of the cutscenes. The cutscene that sort of was one of the most unbloober things I'd seen until Chronos came out. where they touch on James Sunderland's alcoholism in a restrained, subtle way that myself, as someone who has, like, had issues on both sides of the addiction thing in my life, it was so subtle and so well done. Some of it was just the look on his face, and I'm like, holy shit, where was this blooper? That's a bit of a tangent. What I mean to say is, no matter how good a remake is, most of them feel like they've got to deviate. Metal Gear Solid 3, you can only replicate. You cannot reboot, because it would only shine a light on our 3 beetroots to a packet instead of 4 society that we're now in. You couldn't make a game that dense at that level. You couldn't make a game that... I'm going to do a video about this in the coming year. One of the few games I feel you could actually call a sandbox game. The little things in that game. The amount of optional... Like, replaying Delta. I've played this game dozens of times. For, like, 2 decades. I found a new thing in Delta that was always there, but I'd just not seen it before, because there's so much stuff in it. Like, in some ways, it's probably not even ethical to make a game like Metal Gear Solid 3 these days. And certainly no publisher, even if it wasn't, wouldn't want to spend that kind of time and money on it. The only way you remake Metal Gear Solid 3 is to remake Metal Gear Solid 3. Exact words, to the letter. The only real thing they added of note that was new was they put something back in a way that was fucking awesome and was sort of more their own. I think it's great. The next time I want to play Metal Gear Solid 3, I'm going to play Delta. I might do it soon. I love Metal Gear Solid 3. And I think we spoke before, last time we talked about it. Like, I think that the new visuals actually enhance some of the cutscenes, because whoever was doing, like, some of the facial animations on these cutscenes got it. They got what those scenes were going for, I feel, and really nailed, like, little looks that flash across the boss's face. I think both myself and Conrad brought that up. Little moments, little glances that weren't in the original because the graphics just weren't up to it back then. I think it is somewhat definitive. I don't know if that's controversial to say, like, in the wider community.
I agree with you on it, I think, yeah.
To me, it is the version. That's at least my version of Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid 3. Yeah.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
The one other one I might put here in terms of stuff that didn't make my Game of the Year list, but that in hindsight I had a fantastic time with and played a huge amount of, is Elden Ring Nightreign.
Oh yes, Nightreign.
A game that I put countless hours into and undoubtedly had a fantastic time with, and just did not leave an impression that I even thought about when putting my Game of the Year list together. And I don't know how much of that is just to do with the fact that online multiplayer games that don't have any kind of ongoing narrative progression just don't stick with me long term. And that's just a thing about me. But, like, I really enjoyed what that game did in terms of having, like, a very dedicated pace to it, and when you started playing with the right kind of teams that would, like, stick together and focus on task, it was this really fast-paced, no room for defensiveness, very aggressive, condensed version of what makes From Software's games great. I really came to appreciate that there is not the time to back away, only hit when there is a safe window. You've kind of got to be a bit more willing to take a risk to get those hits in, because you only have so much time to level. I had a really good time with this game, and then entirely forgot it existed.
Yeah, it's, I think I was more critical than yourself.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I disliked it. I can't remember what I gave it, whether it was might have been a 7, here it is. 7.5.
Yeah, respectable score.
Yeah, I said it's worth taking out for a few runs, but the incentives to keep on running aren't quite there yet. The prospect of ending another 40-minute expedition empty-handed after an anticlimactic wipeout isn't quite coaxing enough on its own. Yeah, that was my issue with it. I thought it was very well made. I was really into it for a while, and then far too many, like, empty-handed knockbacks where it's like you got this really good run and then it's just, there's a way you can end a game like with nothing in a way that encourages you to keep going, which that's something I've always praised From's games for. I've always said prepare to die should never have been the tagline. Prepare to get back up, that's the tagline. Whereas this one, I think it hit the wrong note of, well, that's just deflating.
And for me, I think part of it was, I keep hearing that over time that game has had more added to it, that there is substantially more to do over time. But that first batch of, here is some new stuff to pull you back in, just happened a little too far away from release. It had left me long enough that I'd moved on to other things and I wasn't going to come back to it. It needed that little, oh, and that thing you've been enjoying has a bit more for you, a bit more reason to jump back in, needed to come just like a little sooner than it did. That being said, having thought about it while looking at stuff for this episode, I'm like, you know, I could see myself getting back into that and at least playing around with the new content that's been added, and probably have another fun batch of hours out of that.
Yeah,
it was never going to be on my Game of the Year list, but I could go for some more of it.
I'll tell you what, right? If I've got time, if I'm not being, like, strong-armed into doing more Fortnite or playing Kirby with the little one, while we do co-op Kirby, while he inhales me and then jumps into a pit and cackles. Little griefer. But yeah, if you pick it up again and I am available, I'd be up for, because I had real fun running with you on those.
Yeah. Right. I'm now hearing that there's more stuff in there. I'm like, even if I'm not going to stick with it long term, I could jump back in for a bit.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, that's why, despite me being somewhat critical of it, and sort of just how discouraging I felt it could be, while I was still invested, I cannot deny it is a good game. It is well made. Yeah.
It's a pretty fun 7 out of 10.
Yeah, they played with the, like, Elden Ring combat formula really well. I loved how unscary it made different playstyles. That, I think, was Nightrein's biggest accomplishment, was as someone who has always played, not always, but someone who has often played one way. Like, I'll admit it, I like my shields.
Yeah.
And I usually find a scythe because I think scythes are cool, and I will have a shield, and I will have a scythe, and I will wield the scythe one-handed, and that will be me. Probably with some cleric shit as well. Whereas this Nightreign didn't have a playstyle that I was entirely used to. The bird guy was the closest, because he was, like, the very defense tank oriented.
Quick side note, his leap up in the air and do a big attack down was so good for reviving party members.
Yep.
Buy yourself a second to breathe, slam down, basically full restore your party members. Fucking loved that.
Yeah, that's why... That's the reason he became my main, is because in multiplayer games, where it's possible to be a medic, I will be a medic. It's not quite medicinal, but that is the closest. And in a game where revival becomes such a tricky thing to manage, because reviving the normal way gets increasingly difficult, having that insta-revive in your pocket, as an attack, who cares? It's a revival move as far as I'm concerned. And so, but even then, even though that was my main, I played every single character.
Yeah.
And they had playstyles that are antithetical to how I'm used to. Like, several of them are pure aggression. And I'm a defensive player.
I really love that ninja one that could turn everyone invisible for a few seconds, so you just had a second to get your breathing room, use your healing potions without worry about getting smacked down. Like, there was a lot of really fun default playstyles in there.
Yeah, and for it to encourage that, and because the investment is a bit lower, it's like, I don't have to worry about respecking. If respecking is even a thing in some of the games, or won't be seen for hours. Like, they're pre-baked characters. I'm not losing investment. I'm not losing souls or anything.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to try them. And because, again, roguelite style gameplay, it feels more open to experimentation. You play a roguelite, it's a given that you're going to try different characters. There's usually different rewards and stuff. And that, I think, onboarding, because that's always been a bit of an issue with From's games, is the onboarding. I think Nightreign is a fantastic onboarder when it comes to builds.
Don't stress about how to make the build work. We'll hand it to you and you just make the one number go up.
And we absolutely show you how this works. And, you know, that's made the idea of starting up Elden Ring or any future From game. I probably will default to the like, I'll find a scythe and do the normal thing just because I do find that playstyle fun.
Yeah.
But I'm more willing to experiment because, you know, that Elden Ring also had a trumpet that blew bubbles.
Oh, yeah.
And as soon as I found that, I ditched the scythe for quite a while. In a game that has increasingly more inventive weapons, making unique playstyles not so scary is a really important thing. And I think for anyone who wants to play around and step out of their comfort zone, if they have played these games quite a bit, but aren't skilled enough to feel like, oh, I can pick up any type of character, I think Nightreign is an incredible, valuable thing for that. So yeah, absolutely has a place in the series. I'm glad they made it. I think, despite my criticisms, the basics, I think they showed, wow, they really can take a roguelite formula and make it work as an Elden Ring game.
It's enough that when I heard that the Switch 2 exclusive FromSoft game we're getting next year, The Duskbloods, is in some way a multiplayer game, made me less nervous about that. I was like, okay, yeah, you have a sense for, like, I'm not turned off of the idea of a multiplayer FromSoft game now.
Yeah. And let me just say as well, like, with the exception of Sekiro, every FromSoft game has been a multiplayer game.
To differing degrees, but
like, I say that to make a very deliberate rhetorical point, because obviously you have the people that are like, oh, I never summon, I never do co-op, all of that, and if you do it, you're playing the game wrong. And I did a video where I argue it's probably the solo players playing it wrong, because those features are in the game to be used. And I really do think that From, whether it's Miyazaki or a push elsewhere in the studio, I think they've always intended multiplayer to be an integral part of the experience. I find Nightreign very validating for that, as someone who's always gone to bat for it. When Demon's Souls was a brand new game, I published an article calling it one of the ultimate multiplayer experiences, just for the white phantoms and the messages you can leave, both of which were very new at the time, because thematically, it just communicated this idea of, yes, this game is hard and challenging. Yes, it's lonely and bleak, but you're not actually alone. And there was something very encouraging about that. And I feel there have been many ways in which this series, again, with the exclusion of Sekiro, has tried to intimate to players, subtly in some ways, multiplayer is the way you do this. There are some bosses in, I want to say Dark Souls 3 maybe, but I know there have been some bosses where it's like, the optimum way to do this is to summon either a player or one of the NPC summon signs that are handily strewn out, because it's a feature they want to see used. I'm not saying you're bad for not using it. Obviously, common consensus is, oh, you don't summon in Dark Souls unless you want to rob yourself of the experience and all of that. But, like, to me, certainly as someone who's always, like, been on Team Sunbro, co-op has always been an integral part, especially getting summoned and helping players, earning myself my Sun medals. That's one of my favourite things of Dark Souls. And I loved co-op in Elden Ring. And to see a game like Nightreign come out, which is like, yeah, this is how it's done. Yeah, this can be soloed, but this is not. This one is explicitly not fun solo, unless you are particularly masochistic. I find that very validating. Not in a ha-ha, fuck you, hardcore gamers kind of way, just in a, I feel seen by Nightreign.
Also, side note, since we last played it, they now actually have dedicated duo queues that are balanced for 2 players rather than 3, and we don't have to wait around for a third to appear.
That's good. That's very good.
Yeah. But yeah, we've been going an hour or so. Do we have anything else we want to talk about, or do we want to just bugger off and go enjoy the holidays?
Let's go do the holiday.
I'm trying to see. Yeah, let me just quickly say Painkiller. Everyone hated it, the new Painkiller.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I still think it's a chunky hunk of kill beef. The servers are probably empty now, but it was good, and I am sad that it got hated as much as it did. Donkey Kong Bonanza also was pretty good. Robocop Rogue City was decent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I think that might be it.
Ninja Gaiden Rage Bound. It was a pretty good year for some of those retro 2D platform games. Ninja Gaiden Rage Bound was good. And that Terminator 2D No Fate that just came out is real good, although it turns out that the animator has real bad politics, and that's a shame.
My last couple of ones to just throw out there. Bokura Planet, the maybe 4-hour long asymmetrical co-op game. That was super interesting. Duck Detective, real short, but it was a good fun time. Yeah, those are I think the other ones I'll throw in.
And of course, just I think to really send the crowd home happy, because they're going to wonder why we didn't give it an honour. Mind's Eye. Oh wait, no, that's next week's list. Sorry. Oh, Mind's Eye, you fascinating curiosity. So yes, that's that. I guess that means we'll be back in the new year now. I guess.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna be 42 by then.
You sure are.
Oh,
My years are departing so quickly. I swear I'm starting to see a wrinkle. I'm not happy. Clinging on to the...
This is the deal you made with estrogen, was that it would buy you some time, no wrinkles.
Yeah, I've still got time. I've still got time. Yeah, like I'm clinging on to that, that 26-year-old's face. She ain't getting it back. Anyway. You're taking a bit of a break, as you do at the end of the year, because you've been very busy, Laura. So what is it that you're taking a break from that our audience might like to check out?
All the stuff, it's at Laura K. Buzz, that's where you find it. Patreon's what pays the bills. There's a big old lengthy Game of the Year video up on YouTube, you can go check that out. Dice Funk, Queer and Pleasant Strangers, Fix Your Heart or Die. Go Laura K. Buzz, you'll find all the stuff, what I'm up to. What about you, Conrad?
Oh, you can find me at Conrad Zimmerman on Blue Sky, and you can hang out with me on Twitch at twitch.tv/thatconradzimmerman. I'm on there Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. You can buy anti-capitalist propaganda and Jimquisition merchandise at mercenarycreative.com. And everything that I do online gets supported through Patreon at patreon.com/fistshark. And you know who else has a Patreon? Stephanie Sterling.
Hey, as soon as this call ends, as soon as this podcast wraps up, I know exactly what I'm going to hear. It's going to be, can we play Fortnite again? Oh, God. Patreon.com/Jimquisition. Check out my work in Vampire Survivors, Date Everything, Quantum Witch. We've got more projects coming. Vampire Survivors, The Grimoire coming next year, and other things to be announced. That's it. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Not next week, but the week after, so next year. Have a good Christmas. Have a good New Year. Do your best. Just do your best to survive out there, and we will see you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.